just to let you know, Ghana has been also elected as the chairperson of the Caucus. So he is also now the part of the executive committee that is going to be leading this opposition caucus here. Colleagues, I think it's very much important just from the get-go to say that we are very much committed to making sure that we hold the governing ANC to account. We are still committed to making sure that our promises through our manifesto are still going to find way and expression into everything that is happening here in the legislature. We're very much encouraged by the fact that the ANC will only have and will continue to have a majority of one in this whole caucus or into this sixth provincial parliament or the provincial legislature. I think we'll continue to work tirelessly in ensuring that we are able to then hold them to account and make sure that whatever has been proposed or promised to the people through our election manifesto finds its way into the workings of the committees and into the actual house itself that is going to be here. Perhaps maybe just to let you know who is going to be part of the executive. As I've said, Ghana Makashule has been elected unopposed or uncontested as the chairperson of the caucus. Myself as the leader of opposition. We will also have Mike Moriarty as the chief whip of opposition. We will have, depending on what is the final verdict, we might have four or we might have 3 or 4 whips headed by Kumera Mlifo, Kate Lorema, Fred Nell, and Mervyn Sorota. So these are the things that, or these are the team that is going to be working with us as we move forward. We are also now going to make sure that, we go into making an announcement in terms of who are going to be our shadow MECs. We'll make that announcement on Tuesday once everybody has been informed of the positions that they're going to be holding. We are going to make sure that they really shadow the MECs and all the portfolios that are there in the legislature to make sure that whatever it is that we want to, to get across is actually then taken very, very seriously into these portfolios and indeed into the House. We are going to, be taking issues of life esidimeni, the issue of the community, the safety bill that we want to also propose here. We are also going to be taking the issue of the e-tolls, which are going to be central in everything that we do. Whoever is going to also be announced as the leader of or the MEC, shadow MEC responsible for economic development is also going to be driving, the DA's proposal in terms of how do we then get the economy to be turned around and make sure that in the legislature and indeed in the portfolio that is something that is receiving the attention that it deserves. We want to make sure that within the first 100 days we put so much pressure on the ANC to finalize the life esidimeni matter and make sure that we are able to not only have the victims or the victims' families compensated as per Judge Museneke's recommendations, but at least there should actually be other consequences that follows as well. I mean, people, it cannot be that people make decisions and nobody's actually even held to account. So we are going to make sure that we push that people that were directly responsible, for life esidimeni, there is also some financial, recovery that is also going to be coming from that side. As I said, when it comes to the issue of safety and security, there is a bill that we are also now going to be proposing, the safety bill, which is something that we're very much excited about because it then begins to then address the issue of, the South African Police Service and how, they are able to then do their work on a day-to-day basis instead of relying on a central and national government perspective. I think as well, we've had quite a number of times about this issue of the finalization of the e-toll saga, but we never really getting to know where we are. So we are going to be pushing for it now to be finalized, and we are going to, propose in the legislature that there be an intergovernmental dispute that should be lodged. Failure to do that, we should ask that the Premier takes this matter, to court and declare the urban tolling as something that should not continue to happen in Gauteng. There is precedence where this has been done, and we're saying the Premier must also, follow that. We will always remind the ANC that they have a majority of one. and that they're not going to have free range. They're not going to have it easy, in this coming term. We are going to keep them on their toes. We're going to make sure that they really, serve the people of Gauteng. Failure to which we'll make sure that we use the portfolios to put pressure on them and to make sure that everything is done accordingly. So that's where we are at this point in time. And I don't know, Ghana, if you wanted to add something, or we take questions.
Yeah, just before I ask for questions, I have to say that this team is very much committed to ensure that at all times we represent the people of Gauteng. That is for us. It's not negotiable, and everything that we're going to do will be for the benefit of Gauteng. The good thing with this six legislature is that if one member is missing, then the decision can go either way. So this means that all members of the legislature have to be at the legislature each and every single time, and the beneficiaries will be the people of Gauteng, because now all of us, in order to achieve what we have set out to achieve for Gauteng, we have to be in the house, which is something that, if you look at it, it will be great for the people of Gauteng. I'm not so sure if there are any questions from ENCA, Newsroom Africa, Jacaranda. Any questions, ENCA?
Certainly there are. From ENCA. Mr. Msimanga, you did emphasize that when it came to the election of Mr. Ghana as chairperson of the caucus, there was no contestation. What happened with the rest? Were you contested? Who contested? You give us the breakdown and also of for the chief whip as well.
Right, I was contested by the provincial leader of the party, Dr. John Moody. As you know, he was in the 5th legislature. He was the leader of the caucus. There had been five names that were contesting for whipper. And what we use is the Handleroo system, which then ranks people. So you actually don't vote individuals out, but you rank them according to preference. And then the list as I'd given to you is how they were ranked.
Okay. You have a follow-up, Mloto, or I'll come back to you. There's a question from Jagaran. All right, not Jagaran.
This again, News 24. You posted something on Facebook a couple of days ago, after the announcement of the result.
Yeah.
And very long-winded post. And it was, you sounded like you were upset. In fact, you were upset about some voices within the party who were shifting blame. I'm trying to figure out, if you could help me understand if there's been any change, if there are people who are still wanting to remove the leader of the DA, as you said in that post. Number two for me is Mr. Malema yesterday spoke about meetings that the EFF is planning to have or is currently having with the DA concerning Tshwane. Where is the DA in terms of Tshwane? The EFF seems to be confident that they will, a new mayor will be elected in Tshwane, and that mayor will be the EFF's mayor. Is there any closed negotiations between the DA and the EFF concerning this?
Thanks, Lisa. Mloto, you had a follow-up question?
Yeah, no, I just needed to know by how many votes did Mr. Msimanga beat Mr. Moody. But also, just when you say you will propose that there must be an intergovernmental dispute, or else the Premier of Gauteng must challenge the ethos in court, what specifically do you envisage that intergovernmental dispute to do?
Okay.
All right, thanks. Any other question?
From Africa. Last year, dear leader Msimanga came under fire by some in the party when he said there was no diversity or equality. There was inequality in some of the caucuses in the DA, especially the National Assembly, made up of mostly white males. Are you happy with this caucus and the way its makeup is and the diversity in there?
Okay. All right. Can you please answer those 4 questions?
All right. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Lizeka, I've always been an advocate. You remember even when I was contesting for leadership in the party, I've always been an advocate for discipline in the party. I've always said that you don't go and air, things the way people do, especially when you have channels that you can actually follow. So that was what I was referring to, and not only for people who are inside, but or who are inside the party structures, but to say to those that who are outside as well, if you are passionate about supporting the DA, you don't then just go and start blabbering negative stuff out after the elections. Where were you when the elections, were taking place? When we were going door to door, when we were actually meeting, you could have raised those things there. It doesn't help to now, start making noise after this has already been done. But one thing I can tell you right now is that the party is having quite a number of sessions where we're doing a post-mortem of the elections, and we are going to be unpacking what happened, where did we go wrong, how do we then begin to fix it going forward. Actually, today at 2 o'clock, we're having our provincial meeting, executive meeting that is going to sit and begin to then unpack, as we're also going to be going to the constituencies and to the branches in terms of dealing with these matters. The issue of the EFF posturing on the issue of Tshwane, that's something that I wouldn't want to comment a lot about. It's something that is already being discussed at a national level. There's a national or the federal leadership that is meeting with the leaders of the EFF and other opposition parties or other parties that are assisting in putting a coalition government together. That information will be dealt with at that particular level, and they will be able to then communicate to us in terms of the decision that is already being reached once the decision is actually been reached. Look, I'm not going to go into the number of votes that were voted for or against. The reason for that is that I'm leading a very united caucus, and numbers don't matter. Once a leader is elected, that's where you deal with it. You take it that the leader is elected, and you then support that leader, and then you move on from there. The intergovernmental dispute question that you ask. Look, David Makura is sitting with a report from a commission that he instituted in 2014 himself. Now that gives him grounds to then say, we got an independent body that assisted us by going to the people and talking to the people. People have come out in their numbers, and we spend millions of rands putting this particular report together. Now, you can use that as a base to then say, Mr. President, we have now this report that is in front of us that we use credible, people to go out and source the views of the people of Gauteng. They've come out very, very strong, against the ethos, and therefore we need to listen to them. If they don't want to do, if it doesn't work intergovernmental, I think the Western Cape has actually done us a favor by doing, by taking a matter such as this, to court, and they won their case. So there is a precedent that can actually be followed in terms of once you're failing with the intergovernmental dispute, you are able to then use the court case that the Western Cape had actually lodged to then make sure that we do away with the issue of e-tolling in Gauteng, or even tolling in Gauteng. As I said, there's already a firm base in which he can operate from. We paid millions, and I think the question is to ask is, that document that he was sitting with, how much did we pay for it, and what is the value of it right now? Because the value should be what we are using it to achieve at the end of the day. And I think for us to get value will be to use that as a base now going forward. Makazi, you asking about the diversity in the caucus. I can tell you right now, you go and look at any caucus of the Democratic Alliance across South Africa right now, you'll find that there's no other party or representation as diverse as what we have right here. In the executive, you have men and you women, you have black, white, colored in the executive that is going to be there, and that flows out through the whole caucus that we have here. It also goes into all our other legislative caucuses that are elected in other provinces as well. I think we are moving in the right direction in making sure that you do have a diverse group of people that is there. And certainly, if you were to compare us to any other political party, you'd find that we are 10 steps ahead. We are 10 streets ahead of everybody else. I challenge you to come and look at the ANC caucus here. I challenge you to come and have a look at the EFF caucus here. You'd find that, even the Freedom Front there for that matter, I don't think that you'll find any diversity in those.
Thanks very much. I want to take the last round of questions. It's like it's only you, Lot.
I'm not too sure yet.
You can ask 3 of them for everyone.
Yeah, but I want to challenge you, Msimanga, on the issue of the diversity of your caucus in this legislation.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing well when it comes to women representation. You have, out of 20, only 6 members are female. What about the youth? How many of your members are falling within the category of youth?
Okay.
And the next question relates to, just on that one, what so difficult when the rest of the other political parties, the ANC and the EFF lately, have said that they have always been going their zebra stripe type of approach to make sure that there's gender representation. You are failing clearly at 6. Are you saying that you don't have capable women within the rank and file to take up those positions? But the last question relates to you having lost 3 seats in this legislature, and you have your counterparts, the EFF having increased, of course the ANC also reduced. Just in terms of you remaining relevant, given the fact that the EFF seemingly increasingly seem to be holding their own, how are you going to ensure that you fight for that opposition space, particularly with the EFF?
Any other question before we close it? Or are you happy that I close it? All right. Those are the questions.
Well, I think in just as we take the question, Lisa, my colleagues.
Yes.
When she talked about the issue of Swan, I know you're saying it's the matter that's at the national level, but given the fact that you're working with the EFF already or collaborating with them, is it a bad idea?
Well, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. I think let's start with the issue of diversity, and this is why, Mloko, I challenge you to go and look even in the policy document of any other party that seriously talks about the issue of diversity. We've gone a step further to then also unpack what we mean when we talk about diversity. Diversity doesn't actually mean only race. It doesn't mean religion only. It doesn't mean sexual orientation. It's a whole lot of things that you're able to then put together. He's young. He's been the leader of the youth. We have Mike Shackleton. We have Nkelemula Apolebo, who are young. Come again? Yes, but you're talking about diversity. I can also include other things there in there, but I don't want to also now start doing bean counting, because I can tell you of how many gay people that we do have, if that is something that you also want to get into. But it's not something that I would want to get into. One thing is that we have processes where we open, people apply. There's processes where people do testing, they go for the selection panel and interviews, and then you are then put on the ground and you apply yourself. And then what we have is what we call a PPIS system that also now begin to then get the best out of that. So do we want the 50-50 representation at some point? That will be very ideal. But then do you then also want to use one element of diversity as a measure of everything that you do? Certainly not. I think there should be a good balance of that. But as I said, we have set ourselves this goal, and we are moving in that direction as we are addressing the issue of who gets to represent us in Parliament and in the legislature as well. And I think when it comes to the issue of youth being representative in different spheres of government, you think you'll find very few political parties, if any, that can beat our record. You had the youngest metro mayor in South Africa. That was myself. You had one of the youngest mayors that was ever appointed, Bongani Baloyi. You had the youngest member of the provincial legislature that was ever appointed, that was Susan. So our record speaks for itself, and it's not something that is fashionable that is starting now. It's something that we have been doing for the number of years, previously. Now, the issue of us losing 3 seats, I think it's something that is very much important. We are very concerned about the numbers, that we have lost. I don't think there's any party that is serious about growth that will celebrate the fact that they're regressing. But also, regression doesn't necessarily mean total failure. It means that you now need to then take a step back and look at where you might have done wrong or where you could have missed a step, and then how do you then begin to build that. And this is why I was saying today at 2 o'clock, the PEC meeting, to start unpacking what happened, so that you are able to then see how do you claw back the lost ground that you have lost. We remain the official opposition in Gauteng, so I don't think that we will be irrelevant. I think we will be the most relevant one going forward in terms of the team that we have put together and the amount of work that we are going to put into this sixth legislature that is sitting here. The issue of the discussions around Tshwane again. As I said, these are discussions that are happening at a national level, Moloko. And you would appreciate, even when I was still the mayor of Tshwane, the engagements were always happening at a national level, because it affects not only two parties, it also affects your other coalition partners. So it's not just going to be the DA and the EFF sitting around the table and then coming up with a conclusion and then expecting that all the parties will then just take it as is. There's a whole group of people that gets together, engage on these things, and then find each other and then communicate from there. And I think that's something that has been happening since 2016, and it's something that is going to continue to happen going forward. Whether there is a change or there's not going to be a change, I think the relevant structure will make that announcement as soon as they possibly have an answer for us. What I'm concerned about is to make sure that we get into work here as soon as everybody is sworn into the legislature, and make sure that the ANC understands that from day one they don't have a majority. They only, if there's not one person who's not in the house when they need to be in the house, it can go both ways. So I think that's what my concentration is going to be, and the team's concentration is going to be.
Yeah, just to add on that. So we have been in a situation where we had less than 23 members of the legislature, and we were relevant to the people of Gauteng. And the good thing is that we've had 2 caucus meetings, and each one of us committed that we need to do or to apply ourselves much more than if maybe we had 30 seats, And you are going to see a DA that's more focused on giving alternatives to holding the government much more accountable, like Soli said. Our work is not starting on Wednesday. Our work continues on Wednesday. Yeah. We have been doing this work since 1994. So for us on Wednesday, it's just the renewal of the mandate to continue representing the people of Gauteng. So ours is not will not sit here and say that our work starts on Wednesday. Wednesday is just a continuation. It's a renewal of a mandate to continue representing the people of Gauteng, to ensure that services are speeded up, there's an environment for job creation, the people of Gauteng are safe, and at the end of the day, people are able to put their bread on the table. That's what our mandate is. And we have over 1.1 million voters in Gauteng that have said, go to the legislature, go and represent us, but not only us, everyone in Gauteng, because when all succeed, that's what we need. We don't want a few to succeed, we want the many to be succeeding, and that's what our commitment is. So Wednesday, it's a renewal of the mandate. That's what Wednesday signals to us. It's not the beginning. It's a renewal of a mandate to represent the people of Gauteng. Do you have a final question, Mulo?
Final question. I promise this is the last question. I see Mabina has already posted your statement in the WhatsApp group of the media. And I see the name of Fred Nell there. This is the man who reportedly was implicated in some racial skirmishes at some point.
Yeah.
What has happened? Apparently he had sent a WhatsApp message to somebody discussing the fact that black people are a nuisance within the party. It was in the newspaper, not making this up. Please clear that, if he has ever been hauled over the coals, if he has ever been cleared, and what's the way forward?
All right, thanks. That matter was investigated and he was cleared a long time ago. If he was not cleared, he wouldn't have been elected as a member of the legislature. So the matter, within 6 weeks after it was reported, it was investigated, and it was found that the allegations were baseless. It was not true. So there's never an issue. You know, everyone has moved on from that particular
But
aspect.
what happened? He never sent the WhatsApp message, or he had been framed?
Well,
He was framed.
yeah.
He was framed.
That was the case, and we got an independent analyst to come and look at the phones and the phone records and everything that could have been retrieved, even when deleted, and they found that never existed.
And you never traced the culprit?
Well, no, we never got to trace who the culprit is, but obviously there's investigations that will continue to happen, because this is not only about tarnishing the name of an organization, but it's also tarnishing individuals' names, and I think people still deserve justice at the end of the day.
Thanks very much to members of the media. This is the continuation of our relationship as our mandate has been renewed. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Can we speak to you? I just don't know exactly what time. But the next crossing.
Yeah, but I need to be going to Bruma.
Okay, Ghana.
Is also going?